Allen, and I am your crypto nerd. And today we've got a special guest. We have the co-founder of Smilecoin. Taj is going to hop on. He's going to answer some questions for us. So let's get this show on the road.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
We're live here with Taj. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this. Big fan and love the content you're putting out there.
Yes, I appreciate everything that you're doing. I saw the announcement come from the official Algorand team. You folks are doing some great things there. Probably the number one question that my audience has been asking so far is, all right, hey, why the transition? What spurred you to go from ETH to Algo? Lay it on us. What was the motivation behind that?
Okay. Do you mind if I give a bit of context just about the project before jumping into that? I think it would be helpful.
Please do. Give us the background.
We'll definitely get into the meat of that. So I've been designing web applications for the past decade. So I'm more on the user experience, the interaction and visual side of things, designing the systems, and then working with front-end developers to actually build these sorts of applications. And you know, I've been in the industry since static HTML and CSS websites to, you know, building gaming applications with, you know, more advanced React software. And now sort of we're at this precipice where we've got, you know, the Web3 world coming together with everything that's going on in DeFi. And myself and Nick and Rob, who are the co-founders of Smilecoin, have been working in the gaming industry for the past, you know, 5 to 7 years as well. So, you know, we've got experience working over at Apple, HQ Trivia, and more recently Grin Gaming, where we've actually, you know, been developing these gaming apps and really understand the problems that are going on in those worlds. So about 3 months ago, we launched Smilecoin. Again, it was sort of this confluence of everything that was exploding in the DeFi space. We firsthand sort of saw all of these problems, right, in the gaming industry, both you know, launching these companies from a payment infrastructure standpoint, obviously the restrictions, the high transaction costs, everything associated with, you know, those hurdles and roadblocks you have to go through on the payment side of things. And then also as, you know, fans of these games and players who use these prediction platforms and fantasy sports products ourselves, you know, we saw sort of the negative effects of quote unquote the dark side of the gaming industry, right? Just the lack of transparency, the feeling that your data is being misused or might get lost or stolen. So that was the impetus of why we launched Smilecoin. And I can get into some of the ETH to Algo migration stuff if that's a good segue into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So.
First of all, welcome to the Algorand community. We got to get you one of these cups though. So you can't drink out of that just plain white cup anymore.
100%. I saw a few folks who had like a really dope Algorand hat. I think it was someone from the Wallet Connect team, but I need to get my my merch swag game up for sure.
Absolutely. Yes.
No, it's fucking awesome to be here with you all and part of the community, but we obviously launched our project and, you know, smart contract and did all of our tokenomics and everything on Ethereum about 3 months ago. And, you know, even at that time, we pretty quickly realized that we were going to need to migrate to a 3rd generation protocol, right? And so we obviously did our homework and, you know, looked at the Dots, the Solanas, the Cardanos of the world, of course, Algorand, and, you know, really quickly discovered that Algorand was the clear winner from a protocol perspective. So just even doing some quick, you know, test network and setting up smart contracts, you know, the high throughput and the you know, fraction of a penny transaction fees on Algorand kind of made it a no-brainer. The other thing that is really exciting is everything that's going on in the world of AVM, so Algorand Virtual Machine. So it's just really exciting to see their development team continue to iterate on their layer 1 protocol and start to make just things more flexible, right? and just so much useful things happening from a developer standpoint. Everything that's going to be rolled out, with some of these JavaScript sub languages, and I think it's I forget the name of it, but I know there's a lot going on with Python as well. But just the support of those different scripting languages and ability for us to just roll out products faster from a UI development standpoint is just going to be amazing for us. So we're really loving everything that's going on, and it's been a seamless transition for us.
Fantastic. So you're like, as one of the first projects, actually, I believe you are the first project to kind of make that from one blockchain to the other towards Algorand. I mean, do you feel like you've kind of laid out a roadmap or a plan on how that's going to be done? Or are there other projects you think that are watching you thinking like, oh, those guys, maybe they're the guinea pigs. Maybe we could do that too. Do you think more projects are going to make that move?
I think so, 100%. I think that we are a blueprint for that migration. I think we were in a unique position, I will say, and this is also why I'm excited about, all of us being here from a DApp, designer and developer standpoint, and the folks in the community, the investors, et cetera, is we just have such a huge first movers advantage with this technology, right? We were a very young project when we made the decision to move over. And I can tell you that if we had been, 10 to 100 times larger, the switching costs and just the stickiness of, potentially jumping into a different programming language, right? Some of these platforms have functional based programming, others, don't, right? There's different languages, there's just different nuances to the platform. So I think we were fortunate that we were able to make the migration so smoothly, and folks will continue to do so because, for better or for worse, dApps aren't necessarily loyal to a single blockchain, right? They're going to do what makes the most sense from a user experience standpoint, from an economic standpoint. So if there's another protocol, right, that's just faster, more efficient, more decentralized, and has other, community-based incentives to join, these developers are going to continue to switch platforms and migrate more frequently, without a question.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business decision, right? So you just outlined basically the trilemma and said, okay, here's Algorand. It's solved for that trilemma. We're cheaper, we're safer, totally decentralized, and it's still, the DeFi movement over to Algorand, I believe, is going to be massive in the next 18 to 24 months. It should be very interesting to watch. The 100%. Community in general, have you had a lot of communication with other projects that are running on Algorand, other ASA groups? Did you do a little research? Did you reach out to Yieldly or to the Opulus folks or anybody like that? Was there some communication there behind the scenes?
So it's beginning to pick up. We are having folks, so just a little background information. We're in the process of applying for our a grant from the Algorand Foundation. So we have a strategic advisor on our project who put us in touch with Algorand a while back, and they were really helpful, and we're looking to seed and accelerate companies specific to DeFi gaming. And so we're getting introduced to folks in the ecosystem. I would love to meet with Yieldly. We haven't reached out to them, and they've just been so busy this weekend with stuff. So that'll happen. There's a lot of other interesting projects. I mean, I'd love to connect with Algo Dex and everything that they're doing. We're really looking forward to being on, a Dex. Tiny Man's another great project. I recently saw another really interesting project. I don't know if folks in the chat have heard about this one. I'm just looking at my notes. There's just so much DApp activity. Venue One, this DeFi prediction protocol. I don't believe they've launched yet, but this is a really interesting project. I'll post it. I'll post it in the chat here. So
awesome.
That was a long way to make a ham sandwich, but it's in progress. We're so new to the ecosystem. So honestly, I've just got a trailing list of folks that I need to reach out to and just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah. Well, us like fans of what's going on. We see those synergies, and to us, we see like, oh man, you know what? I think the Smile Coin and Yieldly, like, there's a lot of overlap there. There's a lot of synergies that could happen. You both have some connections to esports, the whole gaming thing in general. Like Yieldly's kind of got that small niche that they're working with right now, and obviously the Dex folks, so Algo Dex and Tiny Man. Like if once those are live, and we've got all the ASAs there, and we've got some swap action available, then the world is your oyster. So we'll be excited to watch all of that.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to learn from as well from the folks at Yieldly and everything that they're doing. I think there's just a lot of clear, partnership opportunities there, as well as just levers that we could pull with different. I love their no loss lottery and the other mini blockchain games they got going on. There's just incentives and staking and harvesting and those types of levers that we could pull. So we'll definitely be reaching out to them.
So let's talk about the Smile Coin. So right now, if I wanted to purchase some, I believe Uniswap is the spot where I've got to go, right?
Yep. So we basically have a plan in place that by October 1st, we're going to completely, essentially burn all of our Uniswap ERC20 tokens. At this point in time, because there isn't a DEX available on Algorand yet, which is crazy that there isn't one yet, and I'm so excited for what Algo Dex and Tiny Man are doing. You'll have to purchase it through Uniswap, and we have a process in place where we're giving folks a 10% bonus just to cover the ridiculous gas fees, and giving folks some additional tokens as well, just for holding on to it for 90 days, which shouldn't be too difficult, frankly, since there isn't a DEX to swap them anyhow for the moment. We've had a few conversations with Probit and Mexi and a few other centralized exchanges. Those, I don't have anything formal to announce as far as when that's going to happen, but us being on a centralized exchange could very well come first, depending on how we see sort of the algo dexes of the world roll out. I know they're starting to do stuff on testnet. I'm hopeful that those dexes will be live in Q4. But
that's great.
Getting on we'd love to just be totally leveraging these decentralized exchanges, but for the benefit of all of us, early stage token holders and just folks in the project, I think us being on Mexi or Probit or another larger centralized exchange is just going to only add value to our life. So we're pursuing that as well as an option there.
That's exciting to hear, that even that you're just having those conversations already is exciting to hear. Probit's kind of the running joke though in the Algorand community, right? I mean,
I heard, yeah. Well, can you enlighten me on why that is? Honestly, I haven't had too many conversations with Probit. I have an advisor who's close with the CEO of Probit and put us in touch. I haven't spoken with him or anything, but I've heard some rumblings that they were just slow to move on some stuff and had some product issues. Is that what it is?
Yeah, well, they listed Algo without any issue, really, without a whole lot of fanfare. It went fine. And then the Yieldly team piggybacked off that, and they both put out an announcement that said, okay, it's coming. And this was June something. And then they said, okay, there's a delay. It'll be out in 3 more days. And then it was 3 more weeks. And then, now it's been 5 or 6 weeks or something like that. And it's still not live. So they just keep putting it off and saying there's technical issues or something along those lines. And now Yieldly, whoever's running the Yieldly Twitter team, props out to them, because they have been giving gentle backhanded reminders to the Probit team about getting them listed. Yeah. But the Mexi team has been strong. And the Mexi interface for me has been fantastic. It's easy onboarding, easy offboarding. Most people don't have to do KYC, which I know is somewhat of a concern in, anytime you're talking about crypto, a lot of folks are hesitant to do that. So I've had a lot of good interaction with Mexi. Yeah, no,
I've checked it out. The UX is pretty good. I mean, a lot of these, let's just say, I'm not saying, third tier or less. I don't know what tier we want to call Mexi as far as just their 24-hour trading volume, but a lot of these exchanges just have terrible like mobile experiences, or it's just not responsive, it's not cross-platform. I did really like MEXC, and we're very hopeful to list on there. And I know we've got a couple of meetings to chat with them. I'm more focused on just designing and developing this DApp, and I hate dealing with all that shit. And I'm having one of my partners, Nick, who's also on the development side, but he's having some of those conversations and negotiations. So I do want to list on there just because I know it'll benefit us folks in the Algo community. But yeah, 100%. It's not fun dealing in those waters. So would much prefer to just be on Algo decks.
Yeah, you're a user interface guy, so you're the design guy. I feel like. Talk to us about this ledger and the DApp that's coming out. When is that going live, and how important is the interface there and ease of use?
Yeah, so we have a high level roadmap out. I'm going to provide a more detailed one. We just sort of sat down with our team and really mapped out the epic sprints and features that we want to include in the app, and so we're tracking to being on the mainnet in Q4, right? And we'll continue to provide updates on that front. We've actually already made a good bit of progress on the front end of the experience. So, designing the architecture, figuring out what the layouts and the navigation patterns, will look like. I think, in today, it's actually kind of funny because in Web3 world, right? Like a lot of these like new blockchain products or dApps have pretty archaic sort of user interfaces and experiences, which is, for technology that's just innovating in so many different ways. I would expect for there to be more sort of best in class interfaces out there with some of these platforms. I've seen some good ones, but
some of them are just thrown together, right?
Yeah, and that's actually one pretty big differentiating factor, I would say, with Smilecoin is that and again, I do some front end development, but I'm mostly focused on the interaction, the visual design, the overarching experience for the product and the brand. So you've got someone like myself really designing out this experience rather than a developer just sort of hacking something or bolting a user interface onto an app.
Interesting. So let's talk way down in the future. So the Grin interface and the Grin connection is fantastic, and I know that one is kind of a symbiotic ecosystem. It seems like now Grin. It seems like right now maybe I could go in and I could just maybe pick a team. Is there at some point in time? You mentioned fantasy earlier. Like, is this going to be like a DraftKings style? Or is there any plans for expansion on that type of play? Anything like that in the future?
So the long-term vision for Smilecoin is that we want to be this single global gaming currency, right? And really remove all of this friction, both on the payment processing side and then also to just have a great experience for our customers when they're using the DeFi gaming portfolio. So they can see that sort of distributed ledger, they can optimize their wins and losses, all that good stuff. And so we don't necessarily see Smilecoin, and apologies if I misunderstood your question about Grin versus Smilecoin. We don't necessarily see ourselves as developing blockchain game experiences necessarily in the realm of fantasy sports. We're more servicing those folks both on-chain and off-chain. So in the case of Grin Gaming, they were the first partner that we onboarded. Now they're not a native blockchain company, and we actually also work on that on the side too. That was the app that sort of got us in the space, and we wanted to create a native token for it, and that was sort of how Smilecoin was created. But we really see ourselves as that partner to really bridge the gap to these non-native blockchain prediction platforms, fantasy sports apps. We've had conversations and continue to have conversations with DraftKings. We've onboarded and have verbal agreements from Block Sports and other esports apps like Esports One. So we're continuing to onboard these partners, but we really see ourselves as the folks who are servicing on the business side, the payment infrastructure, right? And then on the consumer side, the DeFi gaming portfolio. So we might have some fun Easter eggs with the DApp that we're designing and developing. So we might throw out some little mini blockchain games just for fun. Maybe a rock paper blockchain,
Awesome.
blockchain rock paper scissors, or some kind of a slot machine. We're still monkeying around with it, but the primary function of what solution we're bringing to the ecosystem will be the distributed portfolio, and then just being the payment processor for these other platforms.
Okay, well, it's nice to have that first partnership in place. You've got proof of concept, and it works, right? So, and there's a high demand for it, and there's a need. It's interesting. Sometimes I come across these projects, and there's not really a defined problem. They just took something else that somebody else had already fixed and decided to slap a blockchain on it. But in this case, because of the gaming community and the silos that are there, I think you want to take all of those different silos and make it easier for someone to just centrally manage all of that and keep it safe. Did I summarize that correctly?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm not even gonna unpack that because couldn't have said it better. So we could leave it at that. But no, I mean, I there's a clear problem here, and blockchain and really just distributed financing is really the best solution. And so that's really why we've started to do this. And we're not one of those companies who's just happening to bolt on DeFi because it's trending and is coming up in Google, right? Like the protocol, Algorand's blockchain, everything that they're doing with ABM. I mean, it's the perfect solution and the perfect storm for everything that's happening in DeFi in the gaming space. And I'll also say, I mean, I think there will be more and should be more companies like us, right? There's going to be room for, right? There's Pepsi and Coke, there's Stripe, and there's PayPal. So, we're looking huge. I mean, we're looking forward to other people doing something very similar as we're doing in other ecosystems, right? Outside of Algorand or even inside Algorand. So this isn't a winner takes all game. There's this market opportunity is massive, and there's just so much value that that's going to be added to everyone as we continue to build out these products and services.
Okay. Now, a lot of folks that I talk to, when they're in a startup situation like you are, they just got their head down and they barely come up for air when they talk to me. But are there other projects that you are currently watching, just as a fan, not necessarily for a business synergy sense, but what other projects are you a fan of?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna take a second to think about that. I mean, I mentioned it earlier. I love what Algo and Tiny Man are doing. I've been keeping close track on their roadmap and everything they're doing on the testnet side of things. I recently had a meeting with the folks at Wallet Connect. So there's some really interesting improvements that the Algorand folks are making to the wallet experience. And so really like what they're doing. Yieldly, obviously, I think has done very well, and they've got such a strong community. And like I said, I love what they're doing with their no loss lottery and their micro games, and the branding and the product is fantastic. And love how they've managed to have this really strong bridge to Ethereum while still staying focused on what they're developing on at Algorand. The other one that I thought was interesting is Venue One. Full transparency, I haven't had a chance to research it too much. I literally just saw it somewhere and wrote it down.
I'm not familiar with that one. I'm gonna have to go check it out. Yeah,
I don't know exactly where they're at, but it seems really cool. It's basically a prediction platform where you can take positions in sports, esports, finance. So you can bet on live events. You can sort of earn returns. It's actually like very similar to Grin Gaming, which everyone should check out, except it's more decentralized. So I thought that was interesting, and I'm looking forward to potentially chatting with someone there to see what they're up to from a product perspective.
It's always nice. In our industry, it seems like there's a lot of what I call friendly competition, right? So there's competing, for the same audience, or somebody does something similar. But in our ecosystem, it seems like it's more about, hey, what can I learn from you? What can we share? What can we learn from each other? Because rising tides float all ships.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think in and outside of Algorand, this sort of like maximalism about a certain ecosystem or even a certain project like doesn't really make sense to me. There's this pie is so big for all of us, and it's the third inning with this stuff. So I don't see anything anyone's doing as competition. I think it's complementary, if anything. And
I don't even know if we're like the third inning. Like we might be like top of the second.
There you go. There you go.
It's so tough to figure it out.
Yeah. So I really don't know. And yeah, I agree. I think, look, the Algorand community has just been amazing, and everyone who I've talked to or interacted with on any medium has been just incredibly bright and selfless and humble, but also like wicked smart about the technology and what's going on in the space. And the same can be said for the developers and the dApps that are starting to shine through here. But yeah, I see what I like friendly competition, because I think it's getting to a place where I think everyone kind of wants to flex and sort of like one up the other app with the cool, shiny new piece of innovative tech, or, they want to, give back to their community in a certain way. So I think it's a friendly competition and just who can sort of have a little bit of bragging rights and sort of be in top, favors with the Algonauts.
There you go. So, getting good with the Algonauts.
You got to get good with the Algonauts.
Make
sure to get good with them.
I couldn't think of a better way to end this. They can go to the website is smilecoin.us. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah. Smilecoin.us.
It's in the description as well. Taj, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to have you back on the show again, because I can tell you're passionate about this stuff. And plus, there's some other stuff I can tell is kind of simmering beneath the surface that you couldn't quite talk about yet today. Especially, I want to hear some news about Mexi and some exchanges. The audience always loves that stuff, just from a fan perspective, and how do we get this? So we'll have you on again.
100%. We got to have you'll have to meet Nick and Rob, the other two co-founders. They're interesting folks to chat to as well. But let's 100% connect when we've got some news to share. It'll be a fun couple months for Smilecoin, can tell you that much.
Awesome. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and stay safe out.